Welcome everyone to this Privacy Rules Privacyespresso. My name is Alessandro Di Mattia, Legal and Executive Officer at PrivacyRules. And today I'm joined by Josemaría Motta Mambretti from the law firm Guyer Regules, that is the firm representing PrivacyRules in Uruguay, luckily for us, of course. And the reason why we have invited him to speak with us for this Privacyespresso session is related to a very recent news that regards the Uruguayan DPA that decided to invalidate the Privacy Shield, so the relationship related to the exchange of data with the United States. That was a very impacting and relevant news that we would like to dig a bit more today with Josemaría. So without further delay, Josemaría, I would like to turn it over to you. And I think we can start with a little background on which is the regulation that you have on data transfer there in Uruguay.
Hi, Alessandro. Thank you very much. And yes, as you know, Uruguay is a small country in Latin America, but they have a quite similar regulation to the GDPR. Uruguay has a specific law 18331, that regulates all aspects regarding data protection. We also have a data protection authority known as the Unidad Reguladora de Control de Datos Personales that regulates and controls all aspects regarding data protection. And as a general principle, our regulations provide that, for example, in the case of processing or disclosing that personal data, we always will need the data subject consent. So when we are speaking specifically in transfer or disclosure of personal data, we can only transfer personal data to countries that are considered, like, for example, adequate. In other cases, it's only going to be happen when, for example, we have the data subject consent, when the transfer is necessary for the performance of certain activities, or when the transfer is necessary for the execution of the agreement between parties, or we have a code of company in the case of group companies, or we also have a data transfer agreement. These are the cases when we can transfer personal data. The main way to transfer is with consent. So that's a little bit about Uruguay and how it's regulated in general principle, the international data transfer in Uruguay.
Okay, and it sounds a bit familiar with European regulations. So probably this is why we can move forward to the next point of the discussion of today, that is related to the decision of your DPA. So which were the reason of this decision from the DPA? What happened in particular?
As you know, Uruguay is considered for the European Union as an adequate country, so they have to maintain certain standard in protection of data privacy. And because in 2020, the Court of Justice of the European Union invalidated the Privacy Shield framework, the Data Protection Authority took a little bit of time, like 1 year, to decide if America was going to fix the situation or not. So they end up with this recent resolution where we excluded the Privacy Shield framework from our list of adequate countries. So now we can only transfer personal. We only consider adequate countries, like, for example, we have the European Union. We also have Argentina, the Swiss Confederation, Great Britain, Israel, and among other countries. And this was an important change because most companies in Uruguay tend to hire, like, for example, service provider or cloud service provider in the United States, or have another company located in the United States. So now this generated a little bit of problem in this regard, because many companies will have to adapt to the regulation for data transfer.
Okay, and that brings me to my next question. I think that is, looking to the future, given this decision, what will happen to companies that were basing, the data transfer on the Privacy Shield with the US?
Okay, these companies that they're now transferring personal data under the Privacy Shield framework, they will have a period of 6 months to adequate to the data protection regulation. And how they can adequate. Most of the company, the most straightforward thing is to do is, like, for example, request the consent. Example, you have a company that is transferring employment personal data to a server located in the US. Now you will have to request the consent for this transfer. Or, for example, in the case Another option could be presenting a code of conduct to the data protection authority, or we can also have a data transfer agreement. With respect to the data transfer agreement, this is quite similar to the regulation regarding the GDPR. We have recently, and in line with this recent regulation that excludes the Privacy Shield, the Data Protection Authority also published the standard contractual clause that this data transfer agreement will have to have. They want, like, for example, to try and in certain way provide sufficient safeguard for the data subject, like that they will have the right for access, they will have the right, the protection in security breaches, and for example, one key element is the data transfer agreement must comply with the data protection framework for Uruguay. This agreement must be presented to the data protection authority and must be authorized for the transfer. So company will have to analyze their situation, analyze if they're better to be a consent or use a data transfer agreement to transfer the data to a Privacy Shield entity. That's quite a summary of the solution that the company must start analyzing. They will have a period of 6 months.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much, Josemaría, for this brief overview on what happened, what's happening, and which is, in your view, the approach that companies in Uruguay should be taking. And of course, we would like to invite everyone to contact you and Guyer and Regules expert if they need some sort of help in the privacy sector, and in particular in relation also to this case. I would like to thank you again for joining us today and for your clear explanation, and all the Guyer and Regules team, and also our listeners for being with us today. So thanks a lot, and see you next week with the next Privacy Espresso. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.